At last, we have arrived at Fast 5, aka Fast and Furious 5 or Fast and Furious Rio Heist from 2011. This is the culmination of the Fast and Furious movies. I had to record this video twice because I actually rewatched it, the extended cut, after I saw it. Like, I watched it twice in a row almost. And I actually liked it more the second time. So, this is the movie where everything changed. This is the film where everything changed for the series. I think they were slowly coming to this direction, but Fast 5 is the Avengers of the Fast series. Fast 1 was like the street racing, a love letter to car enthusiasts, lots of car language and great vehicles in all these movies. Too Fast, Too Furious continued that, but it kind of incorporates some more of that sort of shady criminal underground stuff, more than the first movie, I would say. And they had a big stunt at the end, right? And then, of course, the Tokyo Drift movie kind of went even more towards the enthusiasts for the cars, but this time focusing on the Japanese drifting scene. And that was red hot for a very, very long time. Don't know if it still is, but I know that for a long time it was sort of an alternative kind of driving, a different kind of driving than traditional race. And then, of course, we've got Fast and Furious, which to me, Fast and Furious, the fourth one, was more like a sequel to the first one. If you were to restructure these movies, they really do come off like phase one of the MCU. Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor. But instead, it's sort of like you got the Paul Walker and Vin Diesel introductory characters with Mia Toretto and, all them. Then you've got like the Miami characters, like the Ludacris and Tyrese characters, and Eva Mendes. Then you've got like the Tokyo characters, which come in later. Then, of course, you've got Fast and Furious with Gal Gadot. Fast 5 is, without question, the Avengers of this franchise. And up until this point, Fast 5 is my favorite Fast movie. And honestly, after watching it again, if they didn't have that mid-credit scene that teased Furious 6, this could have been the perfect ending to the franchise. Like, the franchise has such a happy ending. Such a happy ending that right here, this could have been the end. Like, this literally could have been the end of the story. So, Fast and Furious sort of shifted, no pun intended, the series back in focus. Fast 5 took it to a new level because this movie is in every way a new level. It's completely over the top, and this is where the transition actually fully is finished. This is where the franchise goes from a very humble, first film with a few races and action sequences to it now being gigantic heist movies and sort of, bigger productions, much bigger productions with an ensemble cast. A lot of the main characters from the previous films come back together in this one, and I absolutely loved it. And this is also the movie where the series really focused more on Dominic Toretto than on Brian O'Connor. I felt like the first two were really Paul Walker's movies. 4 was like both of them because it was sort of like they were at a crossroads, but no pun intended. But there's a lot of road puns in this review. But this one is where the series really shifted to being over the top action and also an emphasis on Vin Diesel's character more. So as I mentioned, Vin Diesel and Paul Walker come back playing Dominic Toretto and Brian O'Connor. Tyrese, Gibson, and Ludacris are back playing Roman and Tej from the Too Fast, Too Furious movie. Jordana Brewster, of course, is back also as Mia. Still with Brian, and that's good. Good news there. Then you've got the return of Matt Scholes as Vince, and what a story. Before I go any further, because I want to go into spoilers now, I'm just going to say, for those of you who are watching this review and you have not seen Fast 5, for whatever reason, this is a great jumping point. You can even start with Fast and Furious, but it's not going to really matter as much if you don't see the previous ones because the side characters are from those movies. But the situation here is if you haven't seen Fast 5, all I'm going to say is this movie took the action to a whole new level. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, first movie in the series as Luke Hobbs, and he really elevates this franchise. His charisma, the character he plays. He basically plays a character named Luke Hobbs from the DSS, and he's basically the FBI's version of the bounty hunter. Like, he's a giant, jacked up guy with a really powerful team who is basically being paid to go find Dominic Toretto in Rio. Of course, this is all coming off of what happened at the end of 4, because this one actually starts right after 4 ends. And the series, of course, would go on. So let me go ahead and just get that out of the way. If you haven't seen this movie, dude, even if you're not a car enthusiast, this is the first Fast movie that really, you didn't have to appreciate motor vehicles to really appreciate this movie. But of course, there are nice cars in it. So go see it. Now, spoiler time. I want to get into some thoughts I have about the story. I really enjoyed what happened with Vince's character, how him and Brian like made up. I liked that, and the way he died at the end, and what Dominic did with the money was just, man, I got emotional, bro. It was a beautiful, 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 beautiful ending. Han, of course, being here. Dwayne Johnson's great. Gal Gadot is as hot as ever. I mean, you can't deny that about her. And then we've got Reyes, who is played by Joaquin de Almeida, the real villain. And he's kind of a generic 80s type of villain, to be honest with you. They also have, of course, Tego and Don Omar coming back from, playing the Heist team. And they're in this movie, too, coming back from, I think they were in the first one, right? I think they were in the first one. And what I love about this film is sort of the character arc of Hobbs. Actually, to be real with you, Hobbs has, to me, the biggest character arc in the film, because at the beginning of the movie, he's being paid to go apprehend the heist criminals, or the fast team, for like the family, right? And then by the end, because of the fact that his life was literally saved by Dominic Toretto, they formed this awesome alliance. And the scene where like The Rock is like, "I'll go, you got me," beautiful. Oh my God, it was so alpha. Like, their fight scene was great. I was kind of laughing about it because, there's rumors about what happened to him on set in one of the later movies. And it's unfortunate they stopped getting along, because he really needs to come back. But he's great in this movie. The Rock really is the 80s version, or the 2010s version of what Arnold was in the 80s. Without question, that's what he is. The kind of movies he makes, the over-the-top action, the muscles. Like, The Rock has sort of become, like, been christened like the new Arnold for the modern generation. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So the story of the movie was great. I love the reveal of Mia being pregnant. That was a beautiful scene. I love the scenes where they're racing the cop cars. That was beautiful because it was all the top racers from the previous movies racing each other, all 4 of them. That was great. And of course, the final sequence where, all the sequences are great, with the snipers and Dominic and, that big thing. But then at the end on the freeway with the big safe, incredible, just incredible how it's almost implied like he's going to sacrifice himself, Dominic. But, he almost did. But then Brian saved him. Like, that was just so great. Such a great, great, great story. And I love that. Like, I really loved that story. And I loved sort of the ending with Hobbs, like, letting them, I can't let you go, but I can give you 24 hours. So they had a head start. And then he finds out they took the money. And then, so the movie has such a happy ending, yo. They've got all the money. They go and they all live these beautiful lives. Mia's pregnant. Like, it's just gorgeous. Just what a great ending, dude. So emotional. Like, these characters, it's not just like the main guys. I really got to give it up to Ludacris, bro. Like, he's great. He's fantastic in this movie with the comedy. He's great in the next one, too. And Tyrese, Gibson, their chemistry is great. Like, I love their chemistry quite a bit. Han's just kind of a cool Asian chill dude, But this movie really began, like I said, this was the shift. This movie began to give us what the Fast series would give us later. Honestly, dude, like, we do know that when they went into production for the 4th one, they already were planning 5 and 6, or at least had the idea of doing 5 and 6, or general idea. But I remember reading somewhere that the mid-credit scene in this movie where Eva Mendes comes back and reveals that Letty's actually alive, not dead, after Fast and Furious, I read that was a last-minute decision because Michelle Rodriguez was not sure she wanted to be in the movie, and then she finally chose to be in the movie, so that kind of gave them a chance to already build off into the next film with her actually being alive. This franchise a lot of times does the fake death stuff for somebody to come back later. You know, no one's ever really gone, like what Luke says. This franchise does it all the time, and I feel like it was probably most effective. Well, I'm not gonna go into where I will talk about that when we get to the series recap that I'm gonna do. I might do a series recap and a tier list where I discuss that, but I think there's a couple of times where there's a couple of times in this franchise where they kind of hint that it's not gonna happen, and then it happens. So we'll see where it goes. But I remember there was talk, like Vin Diesel even said that Fast Five was supposed to be the final chapter. Like that was supposed to be it. But then they were already planning sequels because it was going to bring everybody together. And I like that. Like I like that, they got to interact and whatnot. What I also found interesting is Justin Lin and Chris Morgan is the team that made this movie. Justin Lin directed Tokyo Drift Part 4 and this one and the next one. And he would come back later. But the thing that I find interesting is Chris Morgan, the directing style of this movie and everything about it is different than the previous four. Like obviously it's a bigger movie. There's more characters, so Chris Morgan kind of play more with interactions, and he did a fantastic job with that because their interactions are just really, really, really fun. But also the music. Brian Tyler is kind of known for doing these franchise movies, but this music is notably different from the previous ones. It's like really like it's really loud and like powerful, and really like as much as I enjoyed the first four, for varying different reasons, they're fun. I think this one, for the first five, this one's my favorite. I like where the franchise was headed here. Maybe they did jump the shark a bit afterward, but to me, this was like a perfect little blend of like heart and cars and like racing, and also the heist over the top crime stuff that the sequels would kind of be known for. But this one just feels so different than its predecessors. And it's almost like in its way, even though 4 was the soft reboot, this one also feels like a tonal shift. Not so much a soft reboot, but definitely a tonal shift from what it used to be to way, way bigger. And it would only go up from here. So I love this film so very much. Check out Fast Five because to me, this is where the movie really cranks into high gear. Jesus, I have a lot of puns. There's a lot of car puns, and I'm not doing it on purpose because these happen to be car movies, focused on cars. I mean, it's so cheesy, like how The Rock is like going through like the part where he's like talking about the Vin Diesel's team, and he's like, make sure you don't get in cars. It's so over the top. The movie is so cheesy, but it's also grounded. More than 6 for sure, and 7. Way more than those two. But in many ways, depending on what you like, this could be your favorite Fast and Furious movie. Depending on what you like. It all depends on what kind of movie you like. And I like these kinds of movies. I watch movies like this growing up, dude. Tons and tons of films like this. Arnold, Stallone, Chuck Norris. So I like the series. And as much as I love cars, I like the transition into this type of film. So that's my review for Fast 5. Coming up next will be Fast and Furious 6. And the mid-credit scene was the teaser for it. We'll talk about that next time. Take care.